must be performed on a lucky day or at a lucky hour. In Cheshire, the ailment known as afta or thrush, which affects the mouth or throats of infants, is not uncommonly treated in much the same manner. A young frog is held for a few moments with its head inside the mouth of the sufferer, whom it is supposed to relieve by taking the malady to itself. "I assure you," said an old woman who had often superintended such a cure, "we used to hear the poor frog whooping and coughing, mortal bad, for days after. It would have made your heart ache to hear the poor creature coughing as it did about the garden." A Northamptonshire, Devonshire, and Welsh cure for a cough is to put the hair of the patient's head between two slices of buttered bread, and give the sandwich to a dog. The animal will thereupon catch the cough, and the patient will lose it. Sometimes an ailment is transferred to an animal by sharing food with it. Thus in Oldenburg, if you are sick of a fever, you set a bowl of sweet milk before a dog and say, "Good luck, you hound! May you be sick and I be sound." Then when the dog has lapped some of the milk, you take a swig at the bowl, and then the dog must lap again, and then you must swig again, and when you and the dog have done it a third time, he will have the fever and you will be quit of it. A Bohemian cure for fever is to go out into the forest before the sun is up, and look for a snipe's nest. When you have found it, take out one of the young birds, and keep it beside you for 3 days. Then go back into the wood and set the snipe free. The fever will leave you at once. The snipe has taken it away. So in Vedic times the Hindus of old sent consumption away with the blue jay. They said, "O consumption, fly away with the blue jay. With the wild rush of the storm and the whirlwind, oh, vanish away." In the village of Wandegla in Wales there is a church dedicated to the Virgin Martyr Saint Thecla, where the falling sickness is, or used to be, cured by being transferred to a foal. The patient first washed his limbs in a sacred well hard by, dropped fourpence into it as an offering, walked thrice around the well, and thrice repeated the Lord's Prayer. Then the foal, which was a cock or a hen, according as the patient was a man or a woman, was put into a basket and carried round first the well and afterwards the church. Next the sufferer entered the church and lay down under the communion table till break of day. After that he offered sixpence and departed, leaving the foal in the church. If the bird died, the sickness was supposed to have been transferred to it from the man or woman, who was now rid of the disorder. As late as 1855, the old parish clerk of the village remembered quite well to have seen the birds staggering about from the effects of the fits which had been transferred to them. Often the sufferer seeks to shift his burden or sickness or ill luck to some inanimate object. In Athens there is a little chapel of Saint John the Baptist built against an ancient column. Fever patients resort thither, and by attaching a waxed thread to the inner side of the column, believe that they transfer the fever from themselves to the pillar. In the Mark of Brandenburg they say that if you suffer from giddiness, you should strip yourself naked and run thrice round the flax field after sunset. In that way the flax will get the giddiness, and you will be rid of it. But perhaps the thing most commonly employed in Europe as a receptacle for sickness and trouble of all sorts is a tree or bush. A Bulgarian cure for fever is to run thrice around a willow tree at sunrise, crying, "The fever shall shake thee, and the sun shall warm me." In the Greek island of Karpathus, the priest ties a red thread around the neck of a sick person. Next morning the friends of the patient remove the thread and go out to the hillside, where they tie the thread to a tree, thinking that they thus transfer the sickness to the tree. Italians attempt to cure fever in a like manner by tethering it to a tree. The sufferer ties the thread around his left wrist at night, and hangs the thread on a tree next morning. The fever is thus believed to be tied up to the tree, and the patient to be rid of it. But he must be careful not to pass by that tree again, otherwise the fever would break loose from its bounds and attack him afresh. A Flemish cure for the ague is to go early in the morning to an old willow, tie 3 knots in one of its branches, say, "Good morrow, old one, I give you the cold, good morrow, old one," then turn and run away without looking round. In Sonnenberg, if you would rid yourself of gout, you should go to a young fir tree and tie a knot in one of its twigs, saying, "God greet thee, noble fir, I bring thee my gout. Here will I tie a knot and bring my gout into it. In the name," etc. Another way of transferring gout from a man to a tree is this. Pare the nails of the sufferer's fingers and clip some hairs from his legs. Bore a hole in an oak, stuff the nails and hair in the hole, stop up the hole again, and smear it with cow's dung. If, for 3 months thereafter, the patient is free of gout, you may be sure the oak has it in his stead. In Cheshire, if you would be rid of warts, you have only to rub them with a piece of bacon, cut a slit in the bark of an ash tree, and slip the bacon under the bark. Soon the warts will disappear from your hand, only however to reappear in the shape of rough excrescences or knobs on the bark of the tree. At Berkhamsted, in Hertfordshire, there used to be certain oak trees, which were long celebrated for the cure of ague. The transference of the malady to the tree was simple but painful. A lock of the sufferer's hair was pegged into an oak, then by a sudden wrench he left his hair and his ague behind him in the tree. End of chapter 55. Recording by Måns Bough, Helsingfors, Finland.